Good morning, families. First off, I wanted to say thank you to all of you for what you're doing for your kids at home. I know it hasn't been easy. We are all looking very, very forward to going back to school. I'm still hoping and praying that we will go back on the 26th, but again, it's uncertain, but my prayer is we will go back. The kids have been working on fractions for the last probably 3 weeks. And we've been making common multiples, which makes a common denominator of fractions. And some of the kids are still struggling with it. So I wanted to show you how I'm teaching it so that you are able to go ahead and help them along. Tomorrow they're going to have their pre-test. They're going to work on that for a few days for the pre-test, and then they will have the test on all of chapter 6. And then we'll start chapter 7. So I'm hoping that by the time they finish their pre-test, this will all come pretty naturally to them to make a common denominator. So one of the things we've been doing a lot is comparing fractions. And one way that we have been comparing fractions, let's say the two of these, is we look if they have the same denominator. They do not have the same denominator, so we need to make them have the same denominator. So we say, what are the multiples of 4? Start with 4, 4, 8, 12, 16. Then we say, what are the common, or the multiples of 8? The multiples of 8, 8, 16, 24. Well, because 4 and 8 both have 8 as a multiple, we're going to use the 8 for the 4. So we go 2/4 equals how many eighths? And I tell them to look at these two numbers. What's the relationship? What happens from 4 to get to 8? Is it multiply or divide? It's going to be multiply. So if we did 4 times 2 equals 8, then we have to do the same thing with our numerator. So 2 times 2 equals 4. So we have 4/8 compared to 3/8. The 3 is smaller than the 4, so we would say this one, because this is equal to 4/8, 2/4 is greater than 3/8. That's what we were doing in the beginning of chapter 6, comparing just two fractions. Another way that we have been comparing fractions, I'll go back to that same one, 2/4 and 3/8. We put it on a bar of 0 and 1. And we say, if we take this bar, and this is the halfway point, where would 2/4 land on this? Is it going to be half, less than half, or more than half? Well, 2/4, 2 is half of 4, so we know that 2/4 is going to land right here at half. And then 3/8, I would ask them, what would make 3/8 half? Well, that would be 4/8. So this is less than 4/8, less than half, so we know it would land on this side of the half. So if this is less than half and this is half, we know that 2/4 is greater than 3/8. So comparing them to halves. One other way, the way that we did in the beginning, was drawing a picture of the two fractions. If I take a rectangle and divide it into how many parts there are in the denominator. So I go like that to have 4 parts, and I color 2 of them, 2 of the 4, and here's my picture. If I do the same rectangle over here, but now I need to divide it into 8 sections, and I color 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. Well, this one has half of it colored, and this one has less than half of it colored. So again, 2/4 is going to be greater than 3/8. As the chapter went on, we're now comparing 3 fractions and 4 fractions and having to put them in order. So let's say we have 2/3, 3/6, 4/12 and 5/6. So any of those things that we had done earlier, making a common denominator or comparing them to half or drawing pictures, all of those would work. The quickest and most efficient way would be to find a common denominator. So 3, 6, 12, and 6. What is the common denominator between all of them? If they can't figure it out from using one of these numbers, then they could also multiply together. But if we do the multiples of 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, 6, 12, 12 is itself, and 6, 12. So we could use 12 as the common denominator. So what I would do is 2/3 equals something over 12, 3/6 equals something over 12, and 5/6 equals something over 12. Then they would have to do that same thing that we did in the beginning. 3 times what equals 12? It's times 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. 6 times 2 equals 12. So we need to do the times 2 again up here. 3 times 2 is 6. And then this one also is times 2 because 6 times 2 is 12. So 5 times 2 is 10. So now we have all of our numbers with a 12 as the common denominator. So now I can say 2/3 is equal to 8/12. 3/6 is equal to 6/12. This one already has a 12. And 5/6 is equal to 10/12. Then we take all of our numerators and put them in order. I'm going much faster with you than I would with them, but I just want you to see how they are supposed to be doing it when they're placing them in order of least to greatest or greatest to least, or if they're trying to find a common multiple. So then in this one, we see 4/12 would be the lowest, then 6/12, which is 3/6. Then next would be this one, 8. So 2/3 would be next. And then lastly, this one, which was 10/12, would be the 5/6. So this would be their answer here in putting them least to greatest. I hope that helps you of how we're doing it. Some of the students will look at these and just in the way that their mind works, they can make a picture of the fraction in their mind and they can see it visually even without writing it down. If that's what works for your child and they're consistently getting the right answer, they can go that way. They are just a visually mathematic learner and that works for them. But for most of them, including myself, doing the common denominator will give them definitely the right answer every time. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, give me a call or a Google Meet chat time, or have your kids call me. Anytime that they're working on their practice test over the next, it's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that they're working on the practice test, please have them FaceTime me or Google Meets with me, and I will work one-on-one with them. I want them to have success on their test, and they have been prepared for this just like they would have in class. So I hope that they will be able to remember it all for their test. Have a great Friday. I will see you all later. Bye.